Hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday with 3W. Wellness Wednesday is sponsored by 3W Medical for Women, a nonprofit medical clinic offering free of charge or low-cost reproductive health services to women in the Seattle area, regardless of income or insurance status. 3W does not profit off of the reproductive health choices women make. The information shared in this podcast is the opinion of the speaker or speakers. Medical information is not intended as individual medical consultation, but for general education only. Always consult your own health professional for personalized advice regarding medical decisions. And if you're in the Seattle area, consider making an appointment to consult with us. I'm Helen Nguyen, CEO and co-founder of 3W Medical for Women and the host of today's podcast. Hi there, Wellness Wednesday listeners. Thank you so much for joining me once again. It's so nice to be back in the studio. Helen Nguyen, CEO of 3W Medical for Women. Just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to our podcast. I know there are millions of podcasts out there. You've stuck with us through these last couple of years, and I'm just so grateful for you. Today, I have a guest speaker here in our studio, Kristina Kovalevich. I'm going to let her say it because I'm going to butcher it. And again, another just gorgeous human being sitting in front of us. She was introduced to us through another guest speaker that we've had on our podcast named Mazzy. And Kristina, how do you and Mazzy know each other again?
Yeah, so me and Mazzy competed in Miss Washington USA twice.
Awesome.
And then I aged out. And then the next year after, she won. And she became Miss Washington USA.
Aww.
But, it's not about the outcome. It's about the journey. Experience, the journey, and the people you get to meet.
Yes.
And she told me, she's so funny, because I just celebrated my 30th birthday. And so she was at this surprise celebration that was hosted for me.
Aww.
And she's like, when I first met you, I was so intimidated by you. I was like, aren't we all intimidated by each other when we walk into a room of gorgeous, intelligent women? And
exactly. Yeah.
I'm so happy that, we were able to sit down, have that conversation, and share a stage together. And, it's the journey. So it's everything that has happened afterwards that really matters. And
yes.
So thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I can't stop smiling. I don't know why I'm so excited.
Well, I'm just so grateful for you and your time coming into our studio today. We have a plethora of topics to talk about. Specifically, I wanted to hone in this new adventure, this business that you just started, pageantry, and something that's near and dear to our reproductive health of hearts out here in 3W is PCOS. Yes. And that is a tough topic for a lot of women out there right now. And hearing it from someone like you who's put together and gorgeous is going to help so many people. So just, would you mind just introducing yourself? How long have you been in the pageantry world? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah. I'm going to make this real quick. So I was born in Jelgava, Latvia, which is in Eastern Europe. Okay. And we immigrated back to my parents' homeland, which is Belarus. So for those who, it's okay. You're not expected to know the tiniest little country in the world, but it's next to Ukraine, Russia, Estonia. Yeah. And then when I was 5 years old, when we came to Washington State, and I definitely overcome a lot of different challenges and setbacks, and maybe that'll be a conversation for another day. But I came here, learned 2 languages at once. I went to the public school. Simultaneously, my parents had me do 1 night a week, sometimes twice, in a local Russian school because they wanted me to keep the language. And I'm so thankful because of the opportunities and the jobs that I've had just because I knew another language. Yeah. It's an asset, right? In such a diverse place that we live in. And so I grew up, I had a lot of energy. I always ran around. You could not stop me. I was the only girl on the field with the boys with the soccer ball. And I remember one summer I counted 22 bruises on one leg. I mean, I was crazy. My parents were convinced because we didn't have ultrasound back then. 3W was not there. So they thought they had a little boy inside of them because I was always so fast. And my mom was like, I've never given birth to anybody as quickly as you. So speed is a part of me. Yes. So in a different world, I would be a sports car race driver and all the fancy Lambos and Aston Martins and everything. But yeah, and so I went to college when I was 16. I did this great thing called Running Start. And then by 18 to finish my associates, I just wanted to get school out of the way. I couldn't sit still for more than 50 minutes. That's when I would start to check out.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
So, I'm very athletic in my nature. And I was like, okay, what's the fastest route? Yeah. Like, that's it. I don't even need to get all A's. I'm okay with an A-, a B, B+. And so I finished both my bachelor's by age 20. And then I was like, the world is my oyster. Let's do this. And so I just dived into work. I did a year in a very detailed job. I had to be very meticulous, attention to detail. I worked with customs, like brokerage and all the paperwork. And it really taught me to slow down and to focus because I was like fast all my life. And then I realized, even though they wanted to promote me after a year, there was another job that came around. So I became a supervisor in a call center. So I managed a team of 15 people. That's where I learned a lot of my people skills. I low-key became like a therapist and counselor because everybody comes in with
baggage
and your team is diverse. And so many times I had people that were significantly older than me. And so it kind of taught me to, wear multiple hats at once. And I remember very clearly working hard, but being underqualified for this job and stressed out. And so I didn't really know that work-life balance. And so so after 3 years, I hit age 25. And at that point, that last 2 years, I saw how physically my life health just began to decline. And I was scared to death to go to the doctors. I've never been scared. So if somebody's listening and they're like, I feel like physically something's off, but I have this great fear of going to the doctors because I'm actually scared to hear the truth. I've been there. And I went to our family doctor, or just the one that a lot of our family members went to, and she did the ultrasound. And she was like, when was the last time you had your period? And I was like maybe a year ago. She's like, what do you mean? Like, you haven't come in here within a year? And so she had these big eyes, and my eyes were bigger. Because if the doctor has big eyes, you're freaked out. And so I was like, this naive, vulnerable little girl who's been working really hard, making lots of money, but at the same time, her health was at a dead end. And so after we did ultrasound, I was just shaking, but I was a strong, independent woman. And she was like, wow, you have like a whole pearl of cysts on your ovaries, and we need to really push your period out. She's like, we just have to do anything. I was like, well, what do you recommend? And it's the pharmaceutical route where let's put you on the pill. She told me all the side effects, and I didn't know of other options. So I just took her advice for it. And it was, in the best way possible, excuse my language, 3 months of hell. So the pill definitely pushed out my period, but it also, the best way possible is to put this is my body was here, my emotions and my mind were here. So I don't know what it is about that pill, but it really
disconnects you from your body, right?
Absolutely. And it's something I wish more people would speak up about. I wish I knew of other options. And after 3 months, I remember driving home from my job, sitting in the car for 10 to 15 minutes, physically unable, at age 23, 24, unable to get out of my car because that's the kind of toll the pill had on my body. And I just remember sitting there crying, was so not intact with my body, with my emotions. Femininity in business is the biggest miracle the world has ever seen because I was so disconnected. I was not intact with my emotions. I didn't even have control over my body. I'd come home. I'd finally woman up, come into the house, have dinner, and then sit in my bed for 2 hours before going to sleep. And some days I'd be reading. Other days I'd be scrolling on the phone. Other days I would just be crying. And I said, something is wrong. This isn't working. And I have a big drive and determination and insane dreams. I have a book, I call it my dream book, has over 350 dreams written in there. And I said, there's no way I will achieve any of them or even be on the route or the journey of getting there if I'm not intact with my body. I was like, I don't even know. I'm out of control. I don't even know what's going on with me. I just began looking for answers.
Yeah.
I began looking for answers, and I was like, I'm getting off the pill and I'm not going back to the doctor.
Wow.
It was the biggest risk I took.
Yeah.
And she was expecting to see me after 3 months.
Yeah. As a follow-up. Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
If the clinic calls me, I'm not returning the calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that is something we really emphasize to women because, yes, you can go over the pros and the cons of this medication. Every medication has pros and cons to it. But until you let it absorb into your body and see the effects, and then the thing is, everybody around you is telling you, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, it's just the pill. Everybody's on the pill. It's not a big deal. I very much had the same situation where I had horrible, horrible periods, horrible bleeding, horrible cramps. I had the opposite problem where I was having periods that were regular, but they were making me miserable, absolutely miserable. I'd miss days in a month because I would just be laying in bed, bleeding the whole time. And so, and so a lot of the doctors that I went to were like, get on the pill. It's going to regulate your period. But like you, I knew there was something much deeper to the situation. The pill so much acted like a Band-Aid.
Yes.
And it masks the real problem of what our body is screaming at us. Like, there's a problem and you need to get somewhere that honors these feelings that you have about your body, because you know your body the best.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes these pills or these hormones or these injections, they really mask the problem. They don't really get down to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
And here at 3W, we try our best to communicate that to our patients. It's easy for us to write a prescription, but we care deeply about you enough to say, let's walk on this journey with you to find out what really is the problem. And it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. But the answer that you're going to get to is the real truth, is the real answer. And that's what you deserve.
Yes.
And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That must have been so terrifying.
Yeah, but the story gets better.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, go.
So I'm reaching almost age 25. So I'm in my last half a year of age 24. And a couple years prior, I get a once in a lifetime phone call where this man is like, I got a hold, in my heart, I'm a writer. I got a hold of one of your newsletters. I want you to write my first book. Like, and I've always wanted to ghostwrite, or just not even ghostwrite, but write a book by age 25. So I got that call at about maybe age 22, 23. And so in the back of my mind, I would check up on him. I was like, when do you want to start? When do you want to start? And eventually, you know, my health was coming to a decline. And at age 24, I remember clearly in August, we took about 8 days to go to Hawaii, the Big Island. And I remember being in paradise and just being able to catch my thoughts, my breath. I kid you not, the simplicity of life is so beautiful. Like I could even talk about mental health. I know what it's like to have your mind racing and to be anxious and hustling and trying to reach the society's definition of success. But I also know the opposite of that. And the opposite is always better. And you need to fight for it. You need to sacrifice what society defines as success to find your own definition of success. And I just sat there and I was like, why am I working so hard, but I'm not getting to experience this? This should be my norm. And I had this thought, if I could just get 1 month in Hawaii, I will restore everything. Like not even me, myself, but my body will restore itself. And, you know, it might not be an option for some people, but it might be an inspiration to draw from. You might not be able to get out to Hawaii. Right. It might be expensive. Maybe you're in a situation where you have family, you're tied down to mortgage. I don't know. And I was in a place where I was a free bird. And I was like, the world is my oyster. I need to get out of here. So when I came back, I said, I need to get out. to Hawaii for 1 month. And so the following year, it was January, I just approached this man and I said, hey, I'm going to write your book this year. So whatever it's going to cost you, like with your time, but you got to get me the transcript or the audio because I need something to work with, but we're going to make it happen. And so by June, you know, my birthday, I hit 25 in May. In June, I did this ridiculous thing that was the best decision in my life. I bought a one-way ticket to Hawaii, and I left. I put in my 4-week notice and I left.
Yeah.
And I arrived, in the first 3 days, I had such high anxiety because my body, my mind did not know how to slow down.
Right.
It didn't know how to live life.
Yeah.
It didn't know how to prioritize itself. Like, I love what you said, honor yourself. And we're so good about honoring other people.
Yeah.
But honoring ourselves, I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
And so at 25, I was relearning how to live life. And I ended up being in Hawaii for 3 months. That's how much time I needed.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is I didn't have my period for over a year, but it was on the 3rd day of being in Hawaii where my period burst out.
Whoa.
And I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like that gut feeling of, if you're going to be in sunlight, right? Vitamin D. If you're going to have whole foods in your like diet, and if you're just going to get proper sleep and you're going to decrease, maybe not completely, you know, push away, but you're going to decrease stress. Those 4 things will restore your body naturally. And that is the recipe that helped me.
Yeah. Our bodies are amazing. And it can function under stress very well to an extent. And then it gets to a point where it can't. Yeah. And then it needs you to like consciously, intentionally say, okay, I'm going to listen and really hit that pause button to give it this chance to restore itself. Yeah. My dad always talks about our bodies like a car. It needs maintenance. It needs oil changes. It needs new tires. It needs a new engine, you know? And it's something that I think especially as women, we live in a world that's like, go, 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 go. This person needs us. Our kids need us. Our husbands needs us. Our parents need us. Everybody needs us in some capacity. And then we get lost in that need because that need becomes our everything, right? Our everything. So how did you, after those 3 months in Hawaii, how did you dip your toes into this new business adventure that you just started?
Yeah. So I do want to add on, I forgot to mention, before I left to Hawaii, I did have naturopath doctors. So I was connected, and a lot of it actually paid out of pocket. Unfortunately, the corporate insurance oftentimes does not cover the type of health that I believe, the holistic approach, which is very necessary. So if people have the finances, always look for a naturopath doctor. Just give it a shot. At least that. Or come to this clinic.
Yeah, we believe in holistic care.
I remember I paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was determined to find solutions. And in the meantime, I got connected to Alyssa Vitti's book called The Woman Code. I read that twice. I would literally go to the grocery store with her. 4 cycles, right? Follicular, ovulatory. Yeah. All 4 women's cycles. And I would be like, okay, which cycle am I on right now? And I would literally shop per cycle. Like I had to very intentionally incorporate the correct measures. And I went to the extremes, but that's because my body needed it. Like I had a couple months where I was gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free. Like I just had to detox completely. Like I did all of that before I even left to Hawaii. And I knew that if I was going to go to Hawaii, I'm going to be out of insurance, but I'm also going to be out of like a corporate job and out of contact with my, doctors that I would be seeing, that would be examining me on a regular basis. So, it was a risk, but it was worthwhile. And it was also like my spirit and my soul, everything was really aligning. And just, I knew deep down, like I needed that. So I think as a woman who is now operating out of femininity, you need to listen to that inner gut spirit, your voice inside.
Yeah.
And you need to trust it sometimes more than even
your doctor.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Respect your doctors, honor them.
Yeah.
But also,
you
gotta tap inside, because if they were to be like, no, sit back and finish all these treatments with us,
Yeah.
I don't know what the outcome would be.
Right.
So I went to Hawaii. I came back. I took it through the editing process with a couple other
Okay.
people. I published it. And then I was like, wow, I'm back in the market. Like,
Yeah.
what do I want to do with my career?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to move out to California. There was an opportunity there, and it did not come through, right? And so when one door closes, another door opens. So I was just like scrolling, and just next thing you know, I see the winner of Miss USA, Chesley Christ, of 2019. And I was like, something's captivating about her. And I was like, And so I kind of jokingly talk about her to my sisters. And one of them was like, I could see you competing in that.
Wow.
And I was like, no, that's kind of pathetic. Why do I need a crown? Like, I'm not that kind of girl.
Yeah.
And so I'm always up for a challenge. And so it didn't leave me. I was like, what will it cost me to do it? Like, what really, how hard can it be? And so I throw myself into pageantry. I come in, I compete, I make semifinalists with no coaching, no proper training, just kind of like, let's just write this on a whim.
Yeah.
And then the second year, somebody encourages me to come back. And they're like, do it again. I won my second time. And my second time, I had a whole setup of coaches. They really trained me and prepared me for what is to come. And I'm so thankful for every sponsor, for every person in my journey. I literally owe them the world. And I almost won. I made first runner-up. I lost by a sneeze. But that's okay. You know, it was kind of a hard note to chew on, but it set me up for where I am today.
Right.
And so after you kind of deliberate and you really process it, I was like, what do I really want to do? And so I got to travel a lot. I got to create content for, you know, like public figures. I got to really explore my options with like red carpet interviewing, TV hosting. I did modeling, like you name it. I just went all into entertainment, all the fun. And I was like, I'm just going to live life.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see the world. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, just wherever the journey takes me. And so opportunities would find me. But I also know, so I'm a believer. I'm a faith-based person. I really believe that God set me up. And he gave me opportunities that people don't even see in their entire lifetime.
Yes.
And I'm so thankful for that, because I am born to be a public figure. Like, I'm born to be known, to be in the spotlight. But there's also a set of responsibility that comes with that.
Yes.
And he purges a certain character within you that money can never buy.
Yes.
It's got to be life experiences. It's got to be hardships.
Yes.
That humbles you, that challenges you, makes you very lowly, meek, simple, but also sets you up for pure success.
Yes.
Because the world has enough of people who think they have it all. Here are the 10 rules of success. And they walk around really arrogant and proud. And I believe that the next wave of leaders, they're going to be meek, they're going to be humble, they're going to be simple, but they're going to be wealthy in their mindset and financially. Because they're going to be building.
Because they're grounded.
They're grounded. They
in
got
truth.
Deeper foundation.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to build high-rise buildings. They're going to be able to take an idea and explode it. They're going to have a vision. And they're going to be able to build a team of people that are going to run with them after this vision to truly make this world a better place.
Yeah.
And it's going to be all facets. It's going to be in medicine. It's going to be in education. It's going to be in government. It's going to be in entrepreneurship. It's going to be in sports. Like, I just see women and men collaborating, coming together. And I know we live in a world that has a lot of different viewpoints. So kind of transitioning now into femininity business. And I've seen it, and I've held a lot of different conversations. And I'm so surprised when women tell me, just gonna step on some toes, we don't need men. It's like, really? You don't need men in this world? Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if your plumbing is down, who do you call? 99% of the times, you're gonna call a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, if your car breaks down, I needed my tires to be pumped up a little bit, I call my dad.
Yeah.
Okay? If I need something heavy to be carried through, I work out. I love muscle. I love a lean toned body. But if I can, I ain't not moving nothing heavy myself.
Amen.
Okay, like seriously, like I'm just gonna be real here.
Well, I'm just like, why work harder when someone else is willing to do it for you?
No, so
like he wants to get dirty. Like that's okay.
So,
like
yeah, we're just gonna go real here. So I went to a business conference in Hollywood, Florida last year. 85% of the room, that's what they told us, was men. I look around, I'm like, no joke. This is a masculine male world. They are all competing. They're all getting down into business. And I'm just sitting there. I was like, I love the energy in this room because this is where true men thrive. Men who know who they are.
Preach.
They were dominating that space.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And when they would ask me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think people get so confused about sameness, equality, but forgetting to celebrate the difference. We're made differently. And it's a good thing.
Yes.
Men can't do what we do. And quite frankly, they probably don't want to. And there are some things that we can't do that they do. And it's okay. And they forget to celebrate their own gender. And we shouldn't be competing with a gender that's never going to understand the strengths and the struggles that we go through. And we forget that there's still good in the difference. You know, I have a little boy and I'm reading this book called The Male Brain to understand him and just, you know, the growth. Their whole genetic and their whole DNA and the way they think and the way they approach things are just so different than my little niece. You know, he's a little girl. And it's like there's goodness in both.
Yeah.
And we need to complement each other, not constantly trying to be at odds with each other.
I agree.
And that is so awesome that you do that, that you say that.
So I came back and I'm so influenced. And I'm like, I want to do what Patrick David is doing for men predominantly. It's not that women are not allowed. It's just that that's not his audience. So know your audience in business.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do this for women. I want to redefine woman empowerment. First of all, we are not to compare. We are not to compete with each other. And we are not to envy and be jealous. That is the first thing. When I meet you and I sense that because I have intuition and I have like a spirit of discernment, if I sense that from you, problem is not in me. It's in you.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And I will help a woman discover it and help her with that.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with supporting, celebrating a woman, but if she meets me, she doesn't know me. And even if you know me, you should not ever be operating from a place of jealousy, competition.
Yeah.
And so the opposite is celebration, like I said, nurturing, and really uplifting. There's nothing wrong with me uplifting you higher than myself.
Yeah.
That does not diminish me. If I'm going to be attracting women in women empowerment, that means I need to take a step back and let her be in the spotlight. It is not all about me. And that is not the way leadership is done. The most successful leaders in the world are always servants. Like, I want to make that clear both for men and women. And so I think that also works in marriages is when we're able to put one above the other. You know, right?
Yes.
Like, how can I better serve you?
Right.
How can I meet your needs? And if we both do that both ways, right? Not just one way, that's going to be a very successful marriage. And so I think we need to go back to those OG values, original values that humanity is built on. And I just think we live in a world that is very unfortunately confused. And being the founder of Femininity in business, I'm saying hone into your feminine innate abilities, the things that you are born with. Do not be shy of them. Like, literally dominate the space with the thing that God has given you and be unapologetic about it.
That's so cool.
That is it. I don't care what you do in business. I don't care if you're building a career from home. I don't care if you're owning your career as a mom. I don't care if you're making $500 million a year, if you're an employee, whatever line of business you're in. Be a woman. Own it and never discriminate, discourage, or diminish the power of masculinity. Because if you're stripping a man off of his masculinity, that does not make you more feminine. That actually makes you pretty ugly as a woman. And I say that confidently because I've seen it. I've seen in rooms where women are trying to be heard, and there's nothing wrong with being heard. And actually, I'm gonna put myself under the bus. I was like, let me try to be dominating and masculine and a little bit more aggressive. So I was on a call with a man. I was like, and I was trying to and it was something that just didn't really matter to me, but I tried to take that approach because I love experimenting, right? And it was ugly. Like the man got so defensive. He was like, he wasn't rude to me, but I could tell how his walls went up. And this was years ago. I was like, let me just try that approach.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I didn't even feel like myself. I was operating from a place that just wasn't very natural to me. And so now when I go into spaces, the first thing I want to do is I'm not shy from introducing myself, but then I also immediately know when to retract and where to be an active listener. That doesn't take away from me.
No,
in fact, as a servant leader, serve me with your knowledge. Serve me with your experiences. Serve me with your expertise. Serve me with your masculinity. I'm going to create a space because masculinity, it operates from a place of I want to protect and I want to provide for you. At their core, that's who they are.
Yes.
And as a woman in my femininity, I'm in a place where I want to nurture, I want to create, and I want to cultivate. And so if I create a space where I'm feminine, I will automatically attract masculinity.
Yeah.
So if I'm operating in business or in life and I'm not, and I'm toiling and I'm hustling and just something feels off, I'm like, I'm not operating in my femininity. I was like, I need to attract masculinity to kind of co-create, co-labor together. And let's stop wasting our time of competing with one another and actually learn how to like create and co-labor together in every facet of life. Yeah, that's like my biggest messaging. And I think I'm still learning and I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
But it starts with these conversations like today.
Just to hone in on that a little bit more, what type of pushback have you been getting when you say these kind of things? Because all these things that we're trying to define in our world right now, what is femininity? And it seems like women are forfeiting who we are.
Yeah. So I've hosted 2 women events and we've actually attracted a lot of males as well because they want to sit in that space to learn more. It is such a rare topic, unfortunately, in our world today. That people will pay to sit in that room just to hear opinions. And I think we have to agree to disagree. So if I stepped on your toes, I'm so sorry, but I'm really not. It's my opinion.
Yes.
Leave it or take it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to encourage people is to be open-minded because closed-minded people will always be set in their own ways and believe that their way is the only right way. And so when we're open-minded, we actually begin to automatically operate from femininity because we are choosing to listen to different opinions and then making the best choice possible. One great thing is God gave us a free will. I will never shove my opinion down your throat.
Yeah, because
you do not have to believe it. Like if you're offended, that's on you. That's not on me.
Yeah, because you practice true tolerance.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Exactly.
the whole mindset behind being tolerant is we provide space. We live in a free country. We provide space for all types of conversations to be had. There's no shoving of opinions down anyone's throat, but we should be able to freely
speak our opinion. And so when you know who you are and whose you are, you will never be competing. You will never be jealous of the person next to you. And you will operate from a very meek, humble place. But you will take up space. And eventually, in your place of sphere of influence, your voice will be heard.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
I think we need to just, like we said, figure out who we are.
Yeah.
Get back to truth.
Yeah.
Don't just listen to anybody out there saying anything.
Right.
You have to find what the truth is. And sometimes you gotta really like search for it.
Yeah.
You have to search for it.
Well, you have to search for it and you have to be honest with yourself about it. Because I think a lot of people operate under misconceptions of what truth is, right? You can Google truth these days.
That's so true.
You can Google truth these days, and that truth leads you down a lot of hurt and manipulation and coercion because you're taking on other people's truths, not your own. And so much of the time we feel like out at sea. I feel like a lot of our patients sometimes that we serve, that's what they're trying to seek when they're coming here is they're like, there's something going on with my body. There's something going on with my world. And I really want to find something that helps me ground myself.
Yeah.
Hearing your faith comes through, that's your anchor.
Well, that's the only thing that brought me through PCOS.
Yeah.
Because I know depression.
Yeah.
I know mental illnesses.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I was never diagnosed because I refused, but I remember like something was off in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did not feel intact with my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in a place of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I naturally now want to be like a pot of light.
Mm-hmm.
That when people look at me, they're just like, you're just executing and like illuminating my space with this light and femininity.
Yes.
And I just want that to really intrigue people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want that to lure them into something deeper,
Mm-hmm.
because everything derives from the spirit realm, whether you believe in it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Everything first is from the spirit and then it comes out naturally. And many times, you know, the way we even operate mentally and spiritually in our minds, it will eventually show up in our bodies. So we need to change the way we think in order for our bodies to come in alignment with its original design. I do believe that before I came into existence, I came from a place of a spirit realm. I was in God. I was in a place, you know, of heaven. And he actually designed the blueprints of my physical body. And when I came into this world, it was all the things that the world considers success that we chase that eventually put my body out of line of its original design. And what I've done these last few years is I've pulled the emergency brake and I said, something is off. I got to figure out why my body is not aligning to its original design. And I don't know if I've fully arrived. You know, I'm just going to be honest, you know, like there's months where my period takes not 4, but 5, 6 weeks to come. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to I'm going to show myself grace, but I will always come back to the truth. And I will always come back to the presence of Jesus, who gives me peace and understanding. And he settles my mind where it's absolutely quiet and still. And in a world of hustle and chaos, we need to create a space of stillness and quiet and peace. Otherwise, we will drive ourselves into a hole. And I don't say that out of theory. I say that out of my own experience.
Yeah.
Like everything people hear today is out of my experience.
Yeah.
Like it's not just I read it.
Yeah.
And this is why I believe our message is so strong.
Yeah.
Is because when it comes out of everything you've gone through and you have the good, the bad, and the ugly, people really look up to you because they're like, I want to hold on to what you just said. And I want to figure out what that looks like in my life.
Yeah. What is one message that you would like to tell a 20-year-old woman that's just starting out in her life? She feels like, you know, the world's her oyster. I'm going to attack this. What is that one thing that you wish she would take away from this podcast today?
I have 2 things and I'm going to blend them into one.
Okay.
I just turned 30 last month. So this is exactly
Congratulations.
A decade ago. Oh, thank you. Honestly, I'm thriving. Whoever tells you that it gets, no, just don't even listen to silliness out there. It gets better with time and age. But I just wish I could go back. And I think I started to realize this at about 27, 28 years old. Get rid of every mental timeline. We think by 22, I'm going to get married. By 25, I'm going to have my first kid. By 28, I'm going to launch that business. Like when we put these mental timelines, life, just like you said, it's bumpy, meaning it's not linear.
Yeah.
It's not this, you know how they say like, here's a timeline.
Yeah.
1960, 1970. You know, when you look at history, that is not life.
Life is like this.
It's like it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So just know that, especially your 20s, it is a decade of exploration.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. Explore your options. Don't be set in stone. If that job opportunity, like that, everything I was trying to get worked out, I would have never experienced entrepreneurship, pageantry, beauty, entertainment, and finding my voice. I am so happy all these other jobs I thought I needed to have in my life did not work out. But the other thing, and I'm only going to speak from my own experience, is on my hardest days, truly on my hardest days, where I would actually be locked up in the bathroom. I was leaning against the wall and I was bawling. That's where all my 11s came from. I just cried so much in my 20s because I was so exhausted. And it was so not easy. I wish life was easier. But those were the moments or I would always cry out to Jesus. I had nowhere to rely on. And I'm kind of happy I did that. And so to that girl listening, just give him a shot.
Yeah.
Let me have faith for you. And just say what I said. Jesus, if you're truly alive and you're out there and you're real, become alive in my life. And that is probably one of the best prayers I've ever spoken. And it wrecked my world. And life was still not linear, and it still wasn't easy. But I would rather walk that entire journey with him than alone.
Well, thank you so much for that encouraging message. And it's just refreshing to hear that from someone that does have the platform that you do have and a voice. And so thank you so much for this conversation. I had no idea where it was going to go.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm really honored to be here. And
thank you.
Like, if you didn't believe in my messaging, in my journey with my PCOS, we would never be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for being here, and I guess tune in again, guys, for these types of amazing conversations that are so organic and just come. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time.
For more information about 3W, please visit our website at 3wmedical.org. That's the number 3, the letter W, medical.org. From there, you can learn more information about the services we provide, book an appointment, or make a donation if you'd like to support our mission. You can also call our office at 206-588-0311. That's 206-588-0311. If you like this episode, please share it with others and consider subscribing on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay healthy and be well.